Hello everybody and welcome back to Odin's movie blog. I am the critic who is a cynic. Hope you're doing well. And today I'm going to be reviewing Aquaman. So Aquaman is the newest film from the DCEU, and this is a film that's gotten a lot of hype. This is the film that I said from the very beginning, if this film isn't good, if this film doesn't do it right, if this film doesn't make a crap ton of money at the box office, then the DCEU is essentially done as far as the live action films are concerned. And though I think Aquaman did just enough to be that film, I still don't think it's a good film. And I know, oh my gosh, no, you're just a Marvel fanboy, you're so hard. Here's the reason why, again, because I always want to explain my thoughts. Now, am I saying that Aquaman is a bad movie? No, not by any means. I think that a huge portion of audiences are going to be able to have a crap ton of fun with this movie. But I am a critic, I have the eye of a critic, and so therefore I'm going to be honest with the blatant mistakes, the blatant flaws that exist within this film, and you can deny them all you want. You can have that subjective point of view, but you cannot ignore objective reality. So let's first start off with some of the good things that happen with this movie. The score. The score on paper is fantastic, is absolutely phenomenal. I think that the one thing that this film does completely right, there was not a single moment where the music just felt off by any means, at least from the score perspective. There are a couple scenes when the soundtrack just didn't quite work, mostly the end song. When the movie ends, there's a song that plays, and it makes no sense whatsoever. It's really silly. Like, it's not even just, like, silly or campy. It just doesn't make any sense. It just does not work within the film itself. But that's just the soundtrack. The score, though, is fantastic, is flawless. Everything that happens on screen matches what's happening in the score, and it's fantastic. So kudos to whoever wrote the score, and it was fantastic. That's like the only really thing it's the one thing I can say is perfect in this film is the score, because everything else, it's like hit and miss. When you look to the visual effects, you all know that I'm a very big proponent of talking about CGI, and the reason why is not because I think that CGI looks bad. It's not that I go out of my way to try and say, oh, this CGI is not done as well as it possibly could have. It has everything to do with the fact that CGI is so overused, not just in DC films, but in all films. Even in non-superhero films now, they're using CGI in certain situations where before they would use practical effects, or they would use stuntmen, or they would do something else. So I feel like it's just become a lazy tactic where it says, oh, well, let's make it CGI, and then everything will be fine. And I have a problem with that, because it takes away some really cool aspects to filmmaking of being able to take like a really insane scene and bring it to life using actual effects. That's why I love the Mission Impossible films, for example. Do they use CGI in those films? Yeah, but the practical effects that you see, the stunt work that you see are actual people. In fact, most of the time it's Tom Cruise on screen doing those actions. Here, just like with many other films that use and overuse CGI, a lot of times you have to have the question, okay, is this CGI or is this an actual person? Especially with the big battle scenes, it makes sense that they would have to use it. And that really is what comes down to my biggest issue. When you have to use CGI, then you should use it. The scenes underwater, the battles, everything like that, the creatures, it makes sense that you want to use CGI for those moments, and that makes sense to me. The problem that I had with this film with the CGI is that they would continue to use that same kind of level of CGI on land, where you don't need to use CGI, where you don't need to do that for backgrounds and backdrops and for action scenes in between. And that is something that I have a problem with overall. And so even though some of the scenes, even underwater, look really good, look very beautiful, some of the scenes, especially of Atlantis, look fantastic, there are other parts where, like, really, did you have to show this kind of creature? Did you have to spend this much time in this area? And it's questionable. It really is. The one scene, though, I will say, rather, the one real segment of the film that they do very well as far as from a CGI perspective, the last thing I'll say about CGI, is when the people are underwater. That is a really cool effect. They're able to get hair flowing like it's underwater. They're talking and everything it sounds like they're underwater, and it's really cool. It's really fantastic. So kudos to them for being able to make that work, because I thought in the very beginning when I saw the trailers, ooh, this is not going to look very good. But on screen, it translates very well. It's done very well. And overall, I like it. Overall, I think it's very well done. And, you know, kudos to them for being able to make that work. So that's just the last thing I'll say about the CGI. But let's go to some other elements as well. The acting. Acting is hit and miss. And Jason Momoa, fantastic. He's awesome. He is the best person that they probably could have chosen to be Aquaman, and he lives up to the character. He embraces the campy side of the character, and he does a really great job at it. Amber Heard does a fantastic job in this movie. You also have, I mean, look, you just have an amazing cast. Like, I'm blanking out on some of the other people in this film. I mean, Willem Dafoe as Volko. Oh my God, Willem Dafoe he cannot do any wrong. I don't think there's a single movie yet that I've watched with him in it that I've said, oh, that was a terrible performance. He always gives his all. Even in a superhero film, he gives his all. Nicole Kidman as Atlanta, fantastic, great. Dolph Lundgren as Nereus, fantastic. Like, an actual almost dramatic performance from Dolph Lundgren here is fantastic. The one that's kind of hit and miss here is Patrick Wilson as the Ocean Master, as Orm. And it's because there are certain scenes when he's on and you see, okay, this guy is giving a very good performance. He's taking it seriously, and it looks great. But then there's other scenes when he's like screaming. He's screaming names. He's screaming battle cries, and it just looks bad. It's not even that it's campy. It's cringeworthy in a lot of ways. And so hopefully I'm trying to explain, and hopefully I'm getting across that there are certain things in here that are good, but there are also certain things in here that just take you out of the movie and say, okay, this is not the best movie of the year. This is not the best DCEU film, I would even say at this point either. It's definitely one of the better ones because it is having fun with. You know, people say, oh, why don't you just turn your brain off and have fun? I was able to have fun with this movie, but also there are times that I almost fell asleep because it slowed down and there was nothing else on screen that was able to keep my attention. I'm just being honest with you guys. The reason why you came here is to hear someone's opinion on this movie, and that's the reason why I have to give this film a C+. This is a C+ film for me, 3 out of 5 stars. Again, it has some of the pieces there. It has some of the aspects to a good movie, but it doesn't have everything. There's something that is just slightly missing here from the movie, and I can't really put my finger on it, which is why I really do want to see this movie again, because I always know that sometimes the theater going experience can affect the way that you think about a movie. I know that there were a lot of things that were distracting me. I was also tired at the time when I saw it the first time yesterday. So I definitely want to go see it again just to be able to, give it its fair shot, to give it its fair chance. I saw it on an IMAX screen, so it's not that I saw it in a screen that was not going to give me the best picture and best sound possible, but I do want to give this film another shot. But even with all that being said, the casting is okay. The casting is not, going to blow you away. And people try to say, oh, well, you're just being overcritical because it's a campy movie, blah, blah, blah. Okay, yeah, it's campy. But even campiness sometimes can be done wrong. And I think there are certain scenes and certain aspects of this film that just aren't quite up to snuff, just aren't quite right, and make this film not really the film that they needed to be. But as I say in my review over at letterboxd.com, I honestly think that it's going to be enough. I think that this film is going to please enough people. Again, the audience score, you see 87% of audiences like it. The average rating was 4.3 out of 5 stars, so it's about a B+ on that scale. So overall, audiences like this film, and I think that a lot of people are going to come out of it saying, oh, it's a good time. It's so much fun. And you know what? Good on them for doing that. But as me being me, I'm going to have to always be honest with you guys, and those are the things that bother me most about this film. But anyway, what are y'all's thoughts about this movie if you've made it this far? Because obviously I know a lot of y'all probably rage quit, and a lot of the DC fanboys have probably already rage quit and said, oh my gosh, you just hate DC movies. No, I don't. It's not the DC movies that I hate. It's not the DC comics that I hate. It's the way that the DC movies have been made up to this point, at least from when the DCU started really with Man of Steel. I mean, that is really where I come back to. Obviously I think it's good that they've kind of broken away from the Zack Snyder mold, because I think that it was really weighing it down from being what it could be. And I think James Wan does a great job. I think that James Wan was a perfect person for this part. But at the end of the day, there are certain things that could have been cut out. For example, Black Manta did not need to be in this movie. Black Manta was wasted. And I would say probably my biggest gripe with this film was Black Manta, because Black Manta could essentially be his own character in his own movie, being the sole villain, and instead he's just a side character. He's a side villain who doesn't get developed very well, and then is just randomly thrown into the film, and then just randomly disappears. And I have a problem with that because it takes away, it distracts you from the film, it distracts you from the main villain of Ocean Master in the film, and on top of that too, it's about 20+ minutes of film that they could have done without and would have shortened the film, because this is like a 2-hour 20-minute film, and they could have made it much more palatable if they had shortened it. And one of the easiest ways they could have done that is by cutting Black Manta. So for anyone that's trying to say, oh, James Wan's fantastic, he can do no wrong, or the writers were fantastic, everything was great, please explain to me how Black Manta was good. Because Black Manta to me was almost like the Boba Fett of Star Wars, where he's there and he's kind of cool, but you don't really get to know him that well. And of course, Boba Fett got a huge cult following after that. I don't think Black Manta's going to get the same because he's not nearly as cool as Boba Fett, but I still think it's a good comparison nonetheless. But anyway, what are y'all's thoughts on Black Manta? Do you think that that's a problem? I think that's probably my biggest gripe with the film is the misuse of Black Manta. But I would really love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If you like this video, smash that like button, give me a thumbs up, give me a subscribe, because you know those DC fanboys are going to try and drive this video into the ground, because they don't like when anyone has to question anything that their precious DC universe puts on the big screen. And again, I'm not trying to pick on DC here, but I'm sorry, they have yet to hit that ball out of the park yet with any film. Anyway, have a great day, guys, and as always, God bless.